Welcome to the February 20th, 2018 meeting of the Northfield Selectboard. Call the meeting to order. We have a few citizens in the audience. Would you like to speak to anything tonight? Come on up.
Do I sit here?
Yes, please.
My name is Deirdre Olson. I live on Gulf Road. I want to thank you for listening to my concerns. And what I'd like to speak about tonight is this. I've lived in Northfield 19 years. I live on the top of the mountain, the last house before the Irving line. The last couple of years, we've had a lot more traffic than usual. This winter has been the worst I've ever seen. It's been so bad that at times, and several of my neighbors who were unable to come tonight said, we have not been driving at night because it's been so treacherous. And this winter, I have seen 2 accidents. I saw 2 tractor trailers coming up the road, having nothing to do with Eversource. And they cannot turn those curves without going into the opposite lanes. So they're causing the cars to be pushed onto the ice. And I've seen 2 of that, and then it happened to me last week, and I almost spun out. I had to move over. They didn't have enough room on that narrow road. So between that, and then I did run into, just by chance, a person who drove a tractor trailer, did not know, and we were talking in Brattleboro, a group of people, about this winter and the season, and he said that one of the worst experiences he had was driving on a mountain. He was driving a huge tractor trailer or whatever they use for tires. He had no idea how bad it was, and he couldn't stop. And then someone said, where was it? And he said, oh, the mountain in Northfield. And he said, I will never use the road again. And then I said, I live in Northfield. And he said, where? And I said, on the mountain. And he said, quote, good luck with that. And so it's not just the residents that feel like many of us, I'm not the only one, that feel like we're living on the Indianapolis 500 in the summertime, but this winter has been hands down the worst. And but I was astonished thinking about it, because sometimes those trucks are going so fast, I'm thinking, can they stop? Because they're going inappropriately fast. And when I spoken to a few people after this man mentioned it, because this is not my forte of how trucks can operate, they said, well, of course they're not going to be able to stop if they don't have any notification or they don't know. And that road, I was told unequivocally by a couple of people that know more about trucks and that type of thing, that's their world, not my world, that narrow, winding road, they have no business driving on it because there's not enough room for two sides. Plus, with the ice and the snow, if you see how narrow it is right now, particularly at night, it's hair-raising. And when you live on that side of the mountain, my husband used to say, watch out for this area. This is going to be icy. There are areas that are icy that the person, unless they know that, they're not going to have any idea. Mm-hmm. And they don't seem to be, a lot of times, to my way of thinking, but he's always been true, cause and effect. That you think, oh, this is going to be very icy on this area. There's a couple of places that I know that there have been several accidents, and you wouldn't think that the wind would have been able to make it that icy. So I know that there are a lot of people that are interested. They've been emailing me because I put it on Next Door Neighbor, and they have an interest. They haven't commented, some of them, on Next Door Neighbor, but they want to know when there is a meeting so that they can express their concerns. And they're from different parts of Gulf Road. They wrote me some things about, they've even spoken to truckers, and that have been very nice, but they're using it as a shortcut. Mm-hmm. This isn't, for business coming down. And now my friend Sue.
Yeah, I'm on Maple Street, the pre-Gulf Road. But, I had talked to Deirdre earlier about something, and we got into this. And this is something over. I've been in town probably 14, 15 years. And and I don't, like, we live next to John Black, so our house is set far back from the road. But I swear to God, sometimes when they come down, roaring down the hill, right at the bottom of the hill where it levels out, I feel like they're coming in the driveway. And this is the kind of thing the neighbors, we talk about, you know, or like if I'm on John's porch, you know, chatting with them or something, and they zoom. So, well, it's when they came through with the GPS, and all of a sudden the traffic, which probably is true. And so, you know, wanting to be just so cool and organized tonight, I had to go Google general laws of Massachusetts. So, of course, I had to print something out, which I can't read.
And she's smart as me.
But you're not going to be able to read it either. Well, a pot of coffee first thing in the morning. You know, it's actually really amusing if you look at that with the right attitude, which it doesn't tell me anything except that there seems to be something. And I don't think, I have my own business, I don't see this as, you know, if somebody's doing some logging, if somebody has a business, you know, they're going to, that's a different type of thing. I see this as a shortcut. Mm-hmm. And I did. I mean, I got so pissed off. I was behind a guy going up, and you know, like my driving call, I called one of those numbers. Well, I'm following your truck up. Where are you? Blah, blah. And he said, well, at this time we're starting to lose. And I said, you know what? I can't see the number. They have a number, whatever it is. But I said, you can look at you are going to know which truck should be in this general area now. But this guy isn't making the turns. The tractor trailer, it has to go over the lines on some of those corners. There's just no way around it. Part of the truck is going to go over the lines. So I've heard the stories. It's something that people we chat about, talk about. And maybe I heard there was a truck got stuck or something this winter. I heard was it this winter? Coming up
I heard there were several.
And so I'm thinking, you know, maybe this should be looked at before something does happen. I don't know.
Well, I was asking Jack before the meeting. He knows the procedure better than I do to look into this. You want to share that?
Well, there is a procedure to go to Mass DOT to ban trucks from a certain road.
Yeah.
And we did that for a small one-block road in Northfield 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But the first step is to get beyond the anecdotal and do traffic counts. So I would suggest we request the COG, do some traffic counts. I know historically, I don't know how many times it's been done. There have been some traffic counts done on Maple Street.
Yep.
Maybe we could look at the historical counts and how they would relate to today, and that would show some sort of relationship to, you know, or these trucks using MapQuest or Google Maps.
Right, or
to-
Waze.
I'm wondering, because it does seem like there's more traffic. Now, you're going to get cars. But, you know, maybe it was a rumor. I always thought, you know, growing up in Western Massachusetts, I grew up in the hill towns, that commercial vehicles, big trucks, stayed on state roads.
No.
Okay, so that's one
They
of those.
have access to,
They can go anywhere.
they can go anywhere.
They can go anywhere. That thing I printed out did seem to say, really, I mean, so to the point that it's almost worth giving it to the town lawyer or counsel and say, you know, in a nutshell, because there's an awful lot of sizes and widths and everything for vehicles. And that being said, I like to pride myself on thinking I'm somewhat intelligent. I don't have a clue what that says.
Written by a lawyer.
Even a little bit of a clue, except there is something in the general laws. So that must mean something. And you know,